You can send me a message if you want.
Jai Jagat, dear friends from all over the world, welcome to our 12th day of this nonviolent economy campaign. We are very, very happy today because, I mean, there are plenty of things to celebrate, not only that the campaign is getting to a closure, and we're very happy to see throughout these days a lot of people joining and coming together to do different actions around the world, but also because today we are celebrating the birthday anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, and also the International Day of Nonviolence. So we will be sharing some of the most important things of the day. We will see some of the conclusions of some of the jatras in India, and how we are also passing the baton to all other friends in Europe who are walking to Glasgow, to the COP26. And we are very excited for that, to see a lot of movement over there. And also, we are very glad because we have an amazing, a great friend, but also an amazing speaker who will share us some reflections on the importance and the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi today. In Latin America mostly, but also in the world. So please, as every day, I invite you to stay with us this hour and a half, and we will start with a short musical video clip, and then we will come back. Thank you very much.
Jai Jagat, sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat, for peace let the souls come alive. For justice and joy come alive. Sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat, sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat, be the call of love. Let love be in all. Victory to the world and no one to be lost. Be the call of love. Let love be in love. Victory to the world, no one to be lost. Let color be no bar. Let caste be no bar. Let love be the need of our. Let the love for all be the bar. Winds of peace shall blow around. We shall all now sing along. Let the sun of love be strong. Let the night of hate be gone. Let the night of hate be gone. Sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat, for peace let the souls come alive. For justice and joy come alive. Sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat, sing along. Jai Jagat, call along. Jai Jagat.
Thank you very much, Gary, for playing this beautiful song. And welcome once again, friends who are watching us through the Jagat Facebook page. Welcome. As I was telling you before, today we're celebrating the last day of this campaign on nonviolent economy. It's been very interesting to hear from so many people who have been working and building up different actions in these last 2 weeks. And we have also discussed and reflect in some different areas that we find based on the context of people and on the work they are already doing, how to transit to a nonviolent economy. And those areas have been climate mitigation, supporting land defenders and territory defenders, stabilizing food security and biodiversity, developing greater access to water. Also, we have discussed on the importance of reducing forced migration and how has become one of the greatest issues around the world. And also, of course, connected with all of this, how to enhance peace and justice. So, I mean, it's been very rich to hear different approaches to all these different issues according with the different contexts and different countries of our Jagat network. And yesterday we had a very interesting discussion on how to put this and bring all these themes together to work to a nonviolent economy, a new model system, and also a new ways of build different relationships among us. And now we will share. We have also the fortune to have with us Riva Yoshi and Gary Bai, who have been also with us every day, and they'll be sharing They will have a brief interview to talk about this North American Relay Fast that the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation has organized in this 12 days of action. Over to you, Gary and Riva. Welcome.
Jai Jagat, and thank you, Monica, for this wonderful opportunity for allowing me to speak to Revaji. Welcome, Revaji, today.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, I read something a couple of days back that the world is one country and the mankind is its citizens. And when I think about people in Canada sitting for 12 long days and fasting every day for peace and justice, it just makes me realize that how much people around the world want a life that is peaceful, that is full of justice, and basically a life that makes them happy, and something that does not make them upset. So and today, Revaji, of the 12 days of the fasting, today is the 12th day, and you happen to be one of those who have been fasting today. So, I mean, as an Indian, I understand. I know Mahatma Gandhi. I've read about him in school. I've read about him in college, and this is something that has been instilled into us to know about Gandhi. But what is that one thing that universalizes this entire concept of peace and walking the footsteps of Gandhi? So how do people so far away in a different time zone aligned with the thought of Gandhi? And so what is that inspires you?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question, Gary. I think it's, first of all, I just want to, not to embarrass you, but I want to say humankind rather than mankind, if you wouldn't. I think one of the reasons I bring that up is to say that all of us still have areas that we're working on. We still have ways in which we need to think about how we have been affected by the violent systems around us, by the oppressive systems around us. And I think that is ultimately where many of us in North America have started this journey. It's to think of how can we, in a positive way, contribute to making the world less violent, less oppressive, less dangerous for ourselves, but more importantly, for others, for the global family. And this is where Gandhiji's thought, I have said for many years, it's the power of the message that he put forward that attracts people. When people come to actually understand his message of ahimsa, which is much more complicated than certainly people in North America initially think. They think, peace means the absence of war. Nonviolence means simply not acting out on violence. And when they come to understand that it is much more than that, and there are so many layers and so many things we must attend to, I think that's when they become very attracted to the message as a whole, and not just attracted to it, but devoted to it.
This is so wonderful to hear. I mean, I believe the Mahatma Gandhi Foundation for World Peace has been around with us for almost 32 years now. I mean, and these 12 days of March. So I just wanted to ask you, what is the background? What is the genesis? What triggered all you human beings there in Canada to fast and appeal for global peace?
Yeah. Well, the Gandhi Foundation was actually the first one in Canada, the first organized sort of body devoted to Gandhian principles in Canada. And actually, it started in 1986. The foundation didn't actually form until 88, but in 1986 was the International Year of Peace. And coming so closely on the heels of 1984 and everything that had gone on in India, and as a result also in the diaspora, several people here in Canada were trying to understand, how can we bring our community back together? My father, when I was growing up, before 1984, he used to always say, there's Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Jew, there's no difference. And especially if we all come from the subcontinent, there's no difference. We are the same people. But after 1984, there was a big difference there seemed to be. But in 1986, my parents actually were having a conversation about Gandhiji. And out of that came the idea to mark 1986 by putting up a bust of Gandhiji on October 2nd. It was the first one in Canada. And the Indian High Commission helped greatly. The provincial government at the time, the municipal government in Edmonton, they all helped. And for 2 years, what we did was we would have a garlanding ceremony and then go somewhere and have a meal and have a speaker. And after the 2 years, people started to say, this has to become more formal. It has to be something else. And so the foundation was formed. And interestingly, most of the people, like my father, who started the foundation, were educators. So a big part of the focus of the foundation became education. And how could we work with everybody from young children to seniors, and work on educating people about Gandhian principles and values.
Well, this is so interesting, because when you were talking about the Gandhian principles and all that I have read about Gandhi, he had a lot of emphasis on, grassroots level interventions, individual interventions, community level interventions. Of course, I do understand that policy level interventions are a different thing altogether, but when I look at you, and having known you for so many years now, and coming from a family that actually has the values of Gandhi instilled in it, I was just wondering. Is it what kind of activities are you into? I mean, like, apart from the relay fasting and this, because I've heard a lot about peace education for you, and it sounds very alien to me, like in a country like India, because we don't have anything as peace education. So I just wondered if you could shed some light on that.
Again, thank you for that question. That's wonderful. As I said, one of the things that the foundation the Gandhi Foundation has been committed to is education. And for a number of years, we worked with the University of Alberta to have what we called the Mahatma Gandhi Summer Institute for Building Peaceful Communities. And over the years, one of the things that we developed was a series of courses that looked at different aspects of the way that Gandhiji talked about peace. And it isn't simply enough to tell people about this. They have to experience it. They have to themselves change the way they do things, because one of the things when we're talking about changing structures is those structures are all around us. So as teachers, for example, the ways in which classrooms are set up, the way that we interact with our students, the content of curriculum, the ways in which we are taught to teach, all of those things are part of the structure. So when we are in a classroom where students are in rigid rows, where they are told these are the rules that you must follow or you will be punished, when they are given the sense that what they have to say is not important unless the teacher tells them it's important. When they are given the idea that all knowledge comes from the teacher at the front of the room, all of those things promote violence. So we have to break all of that down. So just as an example, the classroom in which I taught at when I was teaching in the Summer Institute, we never let the desks stay in rows. We always had them in a circle. We, from the very beginning, we would start creating artwork within our classroom, and we would put that up on the walls of the classroom to cover over the very sterile white walls that send a message of their own. All of the students in that class were given different opportunities to teach all of us so that we all had turns being teachers and students. We engaged in looking at the arts as a way of expressing ourselves so that all knowledge was not seen as what you write in a paper. So all of these things were meant, and at the same time, we were looking at content, we were looking at the ideas, but it was trying to express these ideas in different sorts of ways. So that's when I talk about education for peace, those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about.
Well, must have been a beautiful journey, Revaji. I'm sure it must have been a very beautiful journey. And before I thank you, I mean, this is one thing that I ask everyone, even my 7-year-old child, that what is your dream for the world 5 years from now?
Oh, 5 years from now. You know, I don't know that I can think about the world as a whole. The world is where, for each of us, the world is where we live, you know? And I think when I think 5 years from now, I think mostly of my younger nieces and nephews. And I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel valued. I want them to feel that they can be whoever they are without fear of being hurt because of that. And I want them to feel a connection with the earth as a whole, with other people, regardless of where they are or where they come from. And I want for them to feel optimistic about the future.
Oh, that was beautiful, Revaji. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I mean, seldom do we get chances to speak to each other so deeply. So I'm humbled to speak to you, and of course, this journey is never ending. Thank you so much, Revaji.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Over to you, Monica, my dear.
Thank you very much, Rivaji, for being here always and for everything you have shared. And thank you, Gary, also for leading this beautiful interview. Now we will share just like as a brief summary of the last 12 days. As I said, there have been a lot of different actions, and we just want to walk you, for the people who haven't been able to be in here with us every day, we just want to walk you through the different the highlights of the different days, and Gary Bai will help us to share some of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. Friends, this has been a very, very exciting journey for us in the last 12 days. And we started on the 21st of September, but I would say that we effectively started from the 19th of September, when we had the first youth meeting on climate change. And that is where actually Rajaji or P.V. Rajgopal showed us the way of the future. So before I really get into the reporting part of the 12 days, which is of course going to be very boring for you because I'm only going to be talking, I just wanted to share with you a brief video of Rajaji, where he talks about the importance of these 12 days and more importantly, the importance of peace and justice in the world today. So if you allow me, Monica, I'll just play that video and then we'll go to the 12 days of action.
Of course, please.
I think the International Day of Peace, this is a great day, and I want to greet all of you on this day so that we have a peaceful future. So this day, hundreds of men and women are walking for peace. They are walking through villages and cities in different parts of India, different parts of the world, and all for achieving peace and a peaceful future. As you know, Padayatra is very, very important instrument. In India, we learned it from Mahatma Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi used Padayatra as a very, very powerful tool when he wanted to challenge the British regime. And then his disciple Vinoba Bhave took it, and he walked for 13 years across India for land. And that is how this land gift movement was introduced, and some 4.2 million acres of land came for the poor people. So Ekta Parishad was also using this instrument. We learned it from Gandhi and Vinoba, and we started using it. So in 2007, we had 25,000 people marching from the city of Gwalior to city of Delhi. And in 2012, we had 100,000 people marching, etc. So this is the most important participatory method. Nobody will say that I don't have the money, so I can't walk. You don't need any money to walk. You just get out of your house and start walking. So walking is the most inexpensive mobilization technique. And this is the most powerful participatory method where any number of people can walk. And many people who walked in 2007 are now grown-up people, and they still carry that inspiration, and they are social activists, and they are the peace promoters in many villages because they learned it when they were very, very early in their age. Now, tomorrow is the day when Mahatma Gandhi changed his cloth, in the sense, he decided that he saw poor people, and he said, look, how can I have so much cloth on my body when so many millions of people don't have even enough to cover their body? Because he saw women drying one part of their sari cloth and then washing the other part. And so this was very, very painful scene for him to see. Many women have only one sari, and they have to wash one portion and dry it and then wear it and wash the other portion. So he said, look, today onwards, I am not going to use so much cloth. So the Gandhi that you see later on, the lion cloth Gandhi, was happening 100 years back tomorrow. See, on 22nd of September, he changed his cloth. And so that is 100 years. So many people are assembling in a city called Madurai to celebrate this and remember this. See, Gandhi said renouncing is something more important than accumulating. Simplicity is more important than show off. So this is also an important day tomorrow for us to think of renunciation, think of simplicity, etc. See, there are many stories of Gandhi where he became very, very famous for his simplicity. His hut, it's like the former ambassador from America to India says, standing in front of Mahatma Gandhi's hut, I realized that you don't have to be in a big house to be great. It's like in this small hut lived the greatest person of the world. So only to say, tomorrow is also a day for us to celebrate simplicity. So the Padayatra is happening in 106 places, like Jill told. I am in Bihar, right? And I went to a place called
So friends, this was a brief of why the 12 days of action and why Padyatra holds so much importance in advocating for non-violent actions. Now, I will just drive you through the past 12 days shortly, very briefly. So, the first day was a day which we called the Day for Peace, Fasting for Peace. So this also happened to be the launch of the 12 days of the nonviolent campaign. We spoke about various components of peace and fast, which was why do we fast, why is it important, and how does it actually relate to a non-violent economy. This was followed by the launch of the 105 foot marches that you just heard Rajaji talking about. And there's another program, another campaign running in Geneva, which is known as the Meal, where people get together to share their food with the world. And this was followed by a webinar on youth and climate change, and also a peace workshop uh, that happened in Germany, in a city called Essen, at the Institute for Peace Work and Nonviolent Conflict Resolution. Uh, and then we had a fasting peace discussion in yoga in Nepal, followed by a webinar on students' movement in Philippines during the martial law era. Uh, we also have been fortunate enough to have the ANGOC, which is the Asian NGO coalition, that readily agreed to participate in the 12 days of action. And they have been holding webinars every day on various subjects on the issues that affect uh, uh, the lives of the people on the ground, whether it is in terms of livelihood, peace, and violence. We also had a meditation for peace around the statue of Gandhi in Ariana Park, Geneva, followed by a fast in Uganda, which was for helping orphans for future nation. Then, as we just spoke to Revaji, we have been having the 12 days of fasting. Apart from this, on the first day, we had an exhibition of virtual arts on textile cartography work carried out by women's collective La Huilas in Putuende, Chile. On the second day, we spoke and focused on creating uh, an environment where we say no to fossil fuels. So we basically called it the car-free day. And we had a wonderful panel with us, in which we had Lynn Adamson and Benjamin, where we spoke about the fossil fuels and the future of the green perspective, why it is important to focus on the concept of no fossil fuel, why is it important. And then we had a fast in Uganda, Mexico, Canada, a mediation for peace around the statue of Gandhi, again in Ariana. We also had a webinar on food and freedom on Rohingya refugees, resource conflict, and international cooperation in Bangladesh, and a conference on rethinking the teaching of economics for more diversity and transdisciplinary social justice and ecological and climate realism in Belgium. On the third day, we celebrated it as the Day for Nature, and we called it the Day for Planting a Tree. And apart from this, on the day, we had activities going on throughout the world, especially US, in which there were people who were planting trees, and we had a panel discussion on planting trees and reforestation. The fourth day was climate strike for climate justice, uh, in which we had a panel discussion facilitated by Bonica, which was on the New York climate strike, where we had Daniel Helmer speak. We had Moran Solbrozo from Israel, who also happens to be the climate ambassador from Stand with Amazonia campaign. We had Hussein Ali Gondar from Lebanon. And on the fifth day, we called it the Share a Meal Day, in which we held a series of activities throughout the world, in which countries from North America, America, USA, Mexico, Europe, India, Bangladesh, and all participated, and we had a panel to share the meal initiative facilitated by Jill, and we had Michelle Bauman, Jules Charles, and Monica to speak about the meal program. The sixth day was a very interesting day, which was on how to promote an economy where local products are consumed, and we say no to multinational companies and try to boost the economies at the ground. Why this was also important is that if you remember last year when the lockdown happened worldwide, uh, if it was not for the local economy, we may not have been able to sustain uh, the shortage of food and the shortage of daily utility items in nationwide as well as globally. So this was a day when we had been talking about transitioning to a more local and non-violent economy, where we had a panel discussion with a very senior member from France, which was Francois Velvet. And we had a discussion along the ecological aspects, production of local products, and how do we really sustain the market in a way that the local market stays alive in challenge with the multinational companies. The seventh day of the campaign was planting local gardens, uh, where we had various activities being held, in which we had a panel discussion on cleaning communities. We had some very interesting people joining us from France. We had Claire and Iseline. We spoke about the Geneva city and planting of gardens with Dennis Ruchechart and from Swiss Aid Geneva. We had Ran Singh Ji, who's the national president of Ekta Parishad, speak about Shramdan and giving labor as a part of non-violent economy. And then on the eighth day, we had a very distinguished panel with us about on the concept of cleaning our water sources, where we spoke about how we need to work on individual as well as community level to make our water sources clean, and making sure that the dream of the SDGs and the Millennium Development Goals, talking about safe drinking water, potable drinking water, can be realized. The ninth day was we called it the Water is Life, where we basically spoke about water from a more indigenous point of view. So it was more around linking children education with indigenous practice of water. We had a performance by one of our very close friends, Shona Cromer, a water dance. We had a panel discussion with which we had Revaji with us, and um, a couple of more teachers from Canada, which included Catherine Winkler, Shionag, Joan Smith, and we also had a very interesting, we also got to see a very interesting video, which was about We Are the Water Protectors. And then we had a message on the 12 days of fasting by Joe Cloutier. Uh, the 10th day, which was day before, on the 30th of September, we spoke on the issues of the migrants, where we had friends from Burkina Faso, Senegal. We had friends from US and Mexico border speaking about the various problems that had been faced by the migrants, and why migrants and refugees need to be taken up as an agenda, and why their life means so much more important to us. Uh, on the 10th day, on the 11th day, which was yesterday, we had a discussion on the non-violent economy, where we had some very interesting speakers with us. We had Yves Berthelot, Asha Ramesh, Jean Faber, and we spoke about the concept of creating a non-violent economy, and why This actually is the need of our, followed by a webinar on land and labor, on rural and urban partnerships, and a webinar called La Comunidad de Paz de San Jose de Apartado, which was in Italy. And well, that was the update from the last uh, 11 days, and today is the 12th day. We have a very distinguished member with us, Mr. Pietro Ameglio, who will actually whom we'll have with us to share his thoughts on Gandhi and this entire concept of non-violence and the non-violent economy. Well, I guess that was all from my side, Monica. Back to you again.
Thank you very much, Gary, for this very good summarize of a lot of activities and actions. Yes, now, I mean, we are very excited because we need to figure out, there are a couple of marches going on right now. One is in London, and we have our friends over there like also who want us to show how is it going, the march, and why they are marching. And also, we have our friends from Lyon, France, who are also gathering together. I think their march is about to end, and we will have them with us in a few minutes. But first, we would like to present with you the conclusion of the 12 days of the Indian Padiatras. As we said before, there have been 106 marches all around India, and today they some of them came together and gathered together in different districts and states, and we will just share some of the most important highlights of this, and then in a symbolic way, we would like to that way pass the baton to the new marches that are beginning today and that will continue and will go for the next week in Europe. So if we could share, Gary, some of the pictures of the Indian Padiatras and just a brief summary of it.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
So friends, the 12 days of action, actually culminates on the International Day of Non-Violence, which is today, the 2nd of October. In India, we had over 100 different foot marches, which were organized across 10 states, in which more than 5,000 people participated. These marches were concluded with various peace conferences and marches in various districts all across India. In Katni district of Madhya Pradesh, which is in North India, the marchers reached Bijori village. Here they distributed nutrition kits, which were prepared by Manav Jeevan Vikas Samiti. These nutrition kits are an essential medium to fight malnutrition, which has been prevalent in the villages in and around Katni. So here's a photograph of the ration kit distribution. Going ahead, in Balaghat district of Madhya Pradesh, many people from the Baga tribe joined the foot march. Their traditional dance made the foot march even more beautiful. In this way, this indigenous community marked their presence in the March for Justice and Peace. In Mahir, a large meeting was organized in which many dignitaries participated. Here they talked about how local economy can be strengthened. So now coming to our gala event that happened in Chhattisgarh, Tilda. One of the biggest peace conferences was organized at the Prayog Ashram in Tilda, Chhattisgarh, which is again in North India. Here, almost 18 different foot marches from various districts of Chhattisgarh came together. In the peace conference, Honorable Governor of Anasuya Uike, Job Zakaria, Chief Executive of UNICEF Chhattisgarh, Chandan Pal, President of Sarv Seva Sangh, Rajgopal PV, founder of Ekta Parishad and a known Gandhian, and Dr. Ran Singh Parmar, President of Ekta Parishad, were present. Here they talked about various issues that the marchers saw during their foot marches. Some of the major issues were creating a non-violent economy and promoting local economy. The marchers and the dignitaries acknowledged that a peaceful society can only be created through justice. In over all these 12 days, the action concluded, but the marchers will still remain on the move for peace and justice. So I just have a short video to share with you, which you have a look at.
Hey guys.
मानविक धर्म साधुता निष्ठारे करी जीवा कर्म सर्व उदार के मानविक धर्म साधुता निष्ठारे करी जीवा कर्म न्याय आमे चाहूं आमे अन्याय चाहुना क्षमा आमे चाहूं प्रतिहिंसा लडुना शान्ति आमे चाहूं
So friends, that was an update on the 105 marches going around in India. Over to you, Monica. I guess our friends from
Yes.
Lyon and our friends from Glasgow, from London have joined us.
Yes, thank you very much. We are very, very happy to have with us Jean Maillet, who is part of the Jagat communications team and who is marching and reporting from London with Pushpanath Krishnamurti, who has been a peace activist for a long time, and he has taken a lot of different walks around the world to walks for peace and justice and supporting different issues in different also regions of the world. And now they are there in London, starting a walk to Glasgow, to the COP26, to raise awareness on the climate crisis. And yeah, I mean, they are here to tell us how is it going with these first hours of the march, and what are you expecting to when you reach Glasgow. Welcome, Jay. Welcome, Push.
Thank you. Push.
Jai Jagat.
Jai Jagat. Jai
Jai Jagat, go push go, go push go.
Go. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, I know we started in the morning, and where go push go, join Jai Jagat. And we were at the Gandhi statue in Parliament Square, and we have a very typical, phenomenally good British weather, and we are fully soaked and feeling really good about it. We have done about 15,000 steps today and around 12 kilometers. We started with a couple of dozen people and maybe about 10 joined us. We stopped at an Oxfam shop too. And then finally, we have John here from Oxfam and Tom and Dira. Yeah. And of course, you know this chap. Yeah. And we are nearly there. We got another hour's walk. And I think we had a good day. But please ask them how the day was, each one.
Yes, please tell us.
We started at the Gandhi statue. I think Gary Bhai or Monica, you have visuals. You can probably show it. I can't from my phone here. But yeah, so it was quite fun. Let me see if I can actually just.
I mean, this is just the beginning of how many days? How many days? For how many days you will be marching?
I have that photo with me. Let me just share it with our friends.
Sure.
Yes.
So yeah, this is. Yeah, so this is how we were kind of walking, and it was quite fun. We walked through Parliament Square. We saw some really interesting. There were other walks also happening, and we connected with some very interesting people. Malini ji was there. I think Push can speak more about her. And I'll try to kind of put together some visuals and give it, on a frequently updated basis, so we can kind of have a better perspective of the walk.
It was grand for me. It was a very, very new experience walking for climate justice.
Thank you so much, Janmati. I would love to hear from Pushpanath and friends. I mean, we've spoken about what is going on, but if Pushpanath can really tell us that what inspires him to do what he's doing and why is he doing this?
I'll definitely do that, but let's give Sham, our next generation, 1 minute.
Yeah.
So we had a fantastic walk today. We started off at the Gandhi statue, I think, which was quite telling on his birthday, given the fact that it's embodying all of Gandhi's ethos through the entire walk from here all the way up. And we were also able to take a few pictures in front of 10 Downing Street, so sort of saying to the decision makers as well, we're coming, and we're coming to demand climate justice at COP26. So yeah, it's been a fantastic day.
But Sham, I have a question for you.
Yes.
My question to you is that the people of your age should be sitting in some corporate office and serving some multinational. Why are you getting into something like this?
So I will tell you that I was sitting in a corporate office up until quite recently, but I think it's quite critical that people of my age actually wake up to the harm that we are causing to the world, in essence. There's a lot of things that we are doing that is resulting in what's happening with climate change. So I think this is a call to those people to say, come on, you guys, we have to do something about this because it's what we have done to the world and we need to fix it.
Well, God bless you and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Push, back to Pushpanath.
Thank you.
If you can turn the camera around, if you can bring it to the landscape mode.
All right. I mean, for me, I'm in. I don't know what mode I'm in.
It's okay now. It's okay now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to know from Pushpanath, why are you doing whatever you're doing?
So Push.
Why am I doing what? 11 years ago, I was Oxfam, a global popular campaigner, going about finding is climate changing across the world through a process called hearing from Papua in the east to Uganda. And it broke my heart to see that already the climate impact was hitting the poorest people living in poverty and women first, worst, and hardest. At that time, the little Gandhi exploded in my head and I thought I should do something about it. Then I said, the best thing that you could do is to follow Gandhi's Dandi March, but I'm no Gandhi, I'm just a little guy with irregular hair. So I said to walk from Oxford to Copenhagen. That was the first walk. It made me reflect to go back to India and stay in India. And I walked in the Western Ghat twice. And this is my fourth walk. Every time the world leaders meet, I walk. Because from Gandhi, I learned three things: seek truth, speak truth, and then speak truth to power. And in the process, it's no more my single person's walk. It's across the world. And today I'm so fortunate that I'm part of Jai Jagat. I mean, you can't have it better than this. And when they handed over the baton to me, I felt so privileged and humbled and also empowered. Thank you. Jai Jagat. Walk along, Jai Jagat. Sing along, Jai Jagat.
Walk along.
You know what, Pushpanath, you are making our life very difficult. And it's time that we realize, get out and get going. Thank you so much, Pushpanath.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janmati.
All the best, friends. We keep in touch. Jai
Jai
Jagat.
Jai Jagat. Jai Jagat.
I have a friend from Lyon also, if you may like to turn to them.
Of course. We are very happy to see our friends from France, Claire, Philippe. Welcome.
Hi,
Over
Claire.
to you. Can you open your mic? Hello, Jai Jagat, friends.
Hello. Hello, Jai Jagat, Monica, Jai Jagat to all.
So tell us that the march already finished, right?
Jai Jagat, guys.
It's just finishing. We are in front of the fresco of nonviolence. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, and of course Gandhi. And we are the three of us. And particularly Fatima was one of the organizers of the march. We are in a deprived suburb of Lyon, which is called Les Minguettes. And it's a place from where in 1983, a group of young people, son of the people we came from North Africa. We were facing violence from the police and discrimination. Started a march from Marseille to Paris during 2 months for justice against racism and for justice. And this march started with a small group of people, but it ended up in Paris in 1983 with 100,000 persons demonstrating in Paris in support of this march. So today we have done a march from, it was a short march of 6 kilometers, but meeting organizations which are fighting against inequalities and discrimination, and like Emmaüs, like Le Secours Catholique. At the beginning, Jill Carreris was with us, and well, then we made Caritas, and they explained all their actions. And one of the people who have been marching in 1983, Jamel, was also with us to explain this march and his conception of the evolution. But maybe Fatima could explain, because she has been one of the main organizers of the march. She may explain also her understanding. She speaks in French, so we'll translate.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, a pleasure, Fatima. I mean, we would like to understand why marching and not doing another action. Why you decided to walk? What's the point in doing a march?
Vous avez décidé de faire une marche et pas une autre action non violente pour aujourd'hui.
Mais parce que d'abord, aujourd'hui, c'est la journée internationale de la non-violence. Et je trouve que vraiment, bon, j'ai participé à la marche en 83 et j'ai trouvé que c'était vraiment un symbole très fort pour moi. Et aujourd'hui, voilà, pour moi, c'était important.
Donc on a, so today it's Non-Violence Day, the anniversary of Gandhi, and so we wanted to make an action. And Fatima was one of the people who marched at the end in Paris, and it was something very strong for her. And she has been marching also from Lyon to Geneva. And within the group, we feel that marching is a very important way of demonstrating and manifesting what we are doing. And since the march from Lyon to Geneva, she is a member of the MAN in Lyon, the Movement for Nonviolent Alternative.
Good. And what is next, guys? What is next for Jagat in France?
Next action? Next. Oh.
Yes.
In fact,
what is the future of Jagat in France?
In fact, with the coming of Jill and Javier and Lorena and all our group, we met different organizations all along these 4 days. And also the 2 days we had discussion with Emmaüs and Caritas. So, I mean, it was also a way to reflect with them on how we could carry on. So today it's very difficult to be very precise of the way we, but what is very important for us is that what we will do is based on the grassroots initiative, based on the needs of the people, deprived people. For example, we had a discussion with Caritas on how we could organize things for the people who are trained in French and who are, welcomed by Caritas, so that they have an action not with people who are specialized to welcome deprived people and support them, but just an action that any people living in France could conduct. And it's a way also to develop relations. But maybe Claire or Laurence can add something.
Yeah, for me it's to continue to do this kind of work because we met other associations, so we can create more collaboration. And in fact, we see in these days of work that many associations are doing non-violence action or non-violence economy, but they don't use the word non-violence. So it's create more coalition and union between all this non-violence way of action and transition of the world. I don't know. So
Right.
it's
Yes.
for the next of France is create more collaboration and share the message of non-violence.
And
Wonderful.
we should have, if there is 1 minute, that we
Yes.
had a presentation of comics, serious comics, which is called Lucha. Lucha, it's not, it's Spanish word, but it's lutter pour le changement, fight for change. And it's a description of non-violent movement, civic movement in Congo, in East Congo, where there is a lot of violence and there are mines and things like this. And this civic movement developed very strongly. They are facing a lot of repression, but we had a discussion of these comics and people could know about it. And we had a David Manda Kitoko, who is member of the collective Jagat, who was here. And well, he explained the situation in Congo. And there was a member of Lucha living in France who explained Lucha. And today, this member of Lucha, Augustin, was one of the people marching with us. So,
Wow.
I mean,
Wonderful.
Jagat is making bridges between different struggles all over the world.
Of course. Right. And these comics, can we get these comics online? Are they available online?
But it's, well,
No.
Yes, it's in French, but we can give the data.
Okay.
Details
Wonderful.
about it.
Great. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. I know it's hard for you.
Thank you,
and also
Monica.
Wayne. Thank you. We keep
Hello,
in touch.
Monica.
Eric.
Hello, Monica.
Hello. Hello.
Bye bye.
Good to see you. Jai Jagat. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, there we had a few of the people who is marching in Europe, in London, and in France. And now we are very pleased. I mean, it's very excited to see they're on the move, as we used to say. But now I would like to move to Latin America. Today we have, I'm very, very happy to invite Pietro Ameglio, with whom I've been working for several years. I mean, he has been the one who introduced me to the all the nonviolence and Gandhi and culture of peace. And I mean, we are also great friends, and we have worked together in different projects in Mexico. And I mean, he, in addition to being a professor and researcher at the Autonomous University of Mexico, Pietro is also a social activist, working with the movements of victims. In 2011, for example, he has one of the initiators of the big movement for peace with justice and dignity for victims of violence in Mexico. And also for many years, he has worked in popular and autonomous education with the Zapatistas movement as well. And I mean, he has tried to promote in Mexico the nonviolence, and also trying to connect it with the different movements and examples with the particularities of our context. So welcome, Pietro. Are you still there with us? Sorry for the delay. Pietro, ¿nos escuchas, Pietro? It seems like we're having some technical problems.
Pietro, can you hear us?
¿Nos escuchas? Hola, hola. No te escuchamos.
I think there's some problem with Pietro, Monica.
Yeah, let me. Okay, while we see what's happening, let me check. In the meantime, we can go to musical video clip break. Maybe. I think he's trying to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
बड़ बड़ व्यापारी
you, Gary. And welcome, Pietro. I think now you can hear us, right? ¿Ya nos escuchas bien?
Sí,
Sí.
¿se ve?
Sí, te vemos y te escuchamos bien. We can hear you and we see you. Good.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for being here, Pietro. It's really a pleasure in this important day for everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for this invitation to learn from all these very important and exciting 12 days of nonviolent struggle, and to share with humble a little bit of the experience of others that also struggle in Mexico, in Latin America. Latin America is called the young continent, and it's full of nonviolent direct action every minute in every corner, because it's full of violence in a very high level, and there is a long story and tradition from all kind of people and grassroots of confronting and fighting, struggling for truth. It was very important for me to listen these experiences, because they give me hope, ideas, they challenge us. I was putting attention into words that Reva and Rayagopal used, that I think they are appropriate also for our reality, where our Padiatra walk will start next week for 2 weeks in the state where I live, in Morelos, organized by the relatives of disappeared people and murdered people in Mexico. We have in the last 10 years, 91,000 disappeared people. In the government numbers, they are much more. So it's a very high unhuman social situation that crosses us, and relatives, most of them 90% women, I think are the most Gandhian strugglers in the country, near with indigents, natives, and peasants that defend their land, water, forests. They are the two big social groups that I think struggle in a very high and radical, non-violent way from years and decades. Relatives of disappeared people organize from next week the 6th National Brigade for searching in clandestine graves and also in life, in hospital, jails, etc., disappeared people. It's a very hard walk in hills, mountains, forests, everywhere, all the day, with all kind of tools for trying to find bones, clothes, things, and in all these local and national brigades, they have been found thousands and thousands of material bones and clothes, etc. And they give hope, they give a sense of what they do in life. When you have a disappeared people, you stop living. It's the worst of unhuman situations. And they go to the stage of the forensic identification, that it's also very hard struggle. But another thing Reva said, I think it's very Gandhian and important, is what we call the equalization principle. She spoke that people sat in a classroom, also in our classroom, Monica can say it, in circle, but that we call it a way of horizontal leadership. We call it the equalization principle. And it's very important how these relatives build in their leaderships many and different ways of being and working in an horizontal and equal leaderships. That's a very original thing. Another thing I think it's important of this long padiatra of 2 weeks is that they use a lot the non-cooperation. That's one of the most important things I think we have to learn from Gandhi in Latin America. Also sometimes before civil disobedience. We have a lot of experience in civil disobedience, all of us, Monica, me, and millions. But non-cooperation, no. And non-cooperation has an important key thing that makes us discover our power, makes us be awareness that we have power. That seems a very easy thing, but it's one of the most difficult things to learn and be aware in life. And it goes close to the other half of the coin, that is to use the power. Many people have awareness of having power, but don't use it because using it makes a confrontation with authority, with the power we have in front. And that creates a conflictive situation that not always we want to have. So these indigents, relatives of disappeared people, walk in non-cooperation because they understand that the state won't do nothing for them. So they take power in their hands and use it without asking permission. And that's a very important thing, I think, also in non-cooperation, because they have been tired of asking authorities and understood that they must do with their own hands and bodies the search and justice and truth. So we are starting this padiatra for more than 140 collectives from all the states of the country, and with the hope to find human rests about people that are disappeared. Another thing I think it's important, I know there is not much time, but I think it's good to reflect. Of course, nonviolence, Gandhi are words not very known in Latin America, but the practice in nonviolent action is long and hard and radically known. So in Mexico, we speak about civil pacific resistance. In Latin America, we also speak about good living. It's an indigent idea and word that people understand how to challenge violence with this cultural, constructive, and direct action idea. And it's important, I think, to remember or understand how these last 2 years we had in Latin America very high, massive social uprisings. In Chile, in Ecuador, recently in Colombia. I've just returned from Colombia last month. Black Lives Matter in United States, and feminist struggles and Zapatism in Mexico. We have these very important, massive social uprisings with a big mix of social classes, with a very also big provocation and violence from the government side, police, army, paramilitary, and people in many different ways have been taking the streets, the public space, most of them women, young people, indigents, peasants, and also some part of middle class. And most of them with actions of civil disobedience. And that's a very important new thing, as it happens in many places in parallel times and in a very massive way. People understand that, get awareness that fair and awareness works better when we are in a mass situation. Also, they understand that if we want some change from the roots, we must put the body in the street, in the line, in some all kind of non-violent actions. So that's a very important cultural thing is happening in Latin American social. Also, we have a big challenge that the non-violent spiral of struggle, as we call, stops the violent spiral of authorities and social power that wants that everything keeps in the status quo. So this relation and proportion between non-violent spiral and violent spiral, it's very important not to fall in provocations, in desperation that make and justify violence, jail, and extermination of social leaders, as we have a lot in Latin America. Another important thing of these social uprisings is that they try to go deep to structural and cultural roots of violence, not only to what is in the crossroad of a demand. And also that they have been able to put in the street part of the moral reserve of the society. That for us is a very important non-violent tool for struggling, because there are bodies that represent a kind of social power that to the authority makes it think 2 times before doing injustice actions. And we have had many of these moral reserve in the street, in direct non-violent actions for truth, justice, and peace. So that's an original situation of these last 2-3 years, and we don't know the next steps, but it's important to put in the discussion the non-violent ways and effective of struggling.
Right. Yes. Thank you very much, Pietro. I mean, I just listened to you and wondering, trying to relate also all these different ways of struggle in Latin America, but with the non-violent economy. That's also what we're trying to promote. And I don't know if what is for you, how these both ways are related, how these ways of struggle can be related to help to transit to a non-violent economy. ¿No? ¿Cómo estás?
Yes, I understood. Well, I think economy is not only a material way of life, but it's a material way of thinking, reflecting, of having social relations, and of having a more human way of life in all senses. Economy, in a big sense, of course, the indigents, natives, peasant struggles have very high and deep non-violent struggles for constructive program or autonomy, as they call it, for keeping for their own use and power their natural resources, their cultural values, their cultural and social way of life, of assemblies, of taking decisions, of education, of health. So in that sense, they have an alternative way of seeing capitalistic economy, way of using their national resources in an integrated way with the climate, with the earth, with the land, with everything that they understand for millennials that are part of us as humans and not are something separated. So I think in that sense, we have very, very hard struggles for forest, water, against oil exploitation, against minery, that it's perhaps the biggest, the more extensive struggle in the country. We have 1/5 part of the country with minery concessions to the big mine corporations. So it's a very deep problem that ruins water, forest, everything around, and people's health. In that sense, Latin America is full of examples of alternative, indigent, peasant, grassroots economy. But we have also, and also in this pandemic situation, original things about how to build solidarity in neighborhoods. I read a few time ago in these months how Gandhi insisted very much that your nonviolence commitment starts with your neighbor. That was a very, I think I didn't know very well, and I read a lot about that. And it's important, the nonviolent struggle in urban neighborhoods that we have in Mexico a lot. And that also has a part of economical organization and solidarity organization of new ways of what we call just trade, or how to have an economical exchange with justice and ecology. No? And there are many original experiences also.
Yeah, of course. Yes, thank you very much, Pietro. And yeah, I mean, it connects well also with what one thing that I also want to show you all, because also, I mean, there's been recently our friends from Chile, from the Putaendo Valley. I don't know if you know about them, but there's like also a huge network of land and territory defenders who are mostly defending their territories from a big mega project of mining. As you said, this is one of the most important issues in Latin America. And also they've been with us, with Jagat, collaborating and doing different actions in these different 12 days. And they also did a wonderful march a few days ago, March for Life. They call it March for Life for the Valley of Putaendo. And also they just share with us a short video clip that I would like to present. Before, thank you very much, Pietro, for being here, and for all. It's always a pleasure to hear you, and we learn a lot, and it helps also to reach and contribute and complement all the different approaches of nonviolence from different contexts. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me just show you very quickly this beautiful clip that our friends sent us of this also March for Life in the Putaendo Valley in Chile.
Danzan voluntades, memoria y sentir. Es la comunión de la tierra y sus fieles. No existen fronteras, banderas ni piel. Y en el desierto la flor de la vida. Las constelaciones se vuelven a mí. En las soledad de la tierra sagrada, la voz del silencio alcanzo a sentir. Brillan como soles los bronces al viento, como un trueno que llama a bailar. Zapateo profundo por los que se fueron, zapateando el polvo por los que vendrán.
Yes, so this is from our friends of Putando. Thank you very much and all the best on your struggle. And of course, we are here and we support you, friends. And finally, we are getting to the closure of today's program. It's been very enthusiastic day and very amazing to see all these different people doing actions and trying to do something. And also it was good to have it was good to have these also reflections from Riva and from Pietro, and also, I mean, of course, from Drayadi, which help us also to understand a little bit more on not only, I mean, it's important to do and to act, but also it's important to understand what we are doing. And I think your reflections, Riva and Pietro, help us a lot with that. And thank you very much for that. And just before we go, I just wanted also to let you know that today also there is, I think it's still on live right now, and maybe you can watch it later on the Facebook page, but there was an interesting also discussion organized by Mexico, but also Italy and India. It was a lecture with Ella Bhatt, who is the counselor of the Gujarat Vidyapith, the university founded by Mahatma Gandhi, and they were discussing on the building economy of nutrients. And yeah, you can watch it also later on our Facebook page. And also, we just want to thank our friends from the Asian NGO Coalition for Agrarian Reform and Rural Development, who also have been leading a series of webinars on different very relevant issues along these 12 days. And today also they share their last program on the importance of arts for peace and justice. And I would like just to show a brief piece of it, because I mean, it was very also important because they speak on the arts, but from the indigenous approaches of arts, young indigenous. And I think it's very also interesting to know.
And they're passionate about indigenous cultures. At the same time, think about our indigenous people's rights and self-determination. We come up with the idea to establish a network, a platform for all the indigenous cultural practitioners, both from the Chittagong Hill tracts, the mountain area, and as well as from the plain lands of Bangladesh. So we thought that why not, use the performance, our traditional knowledge, our cultural performances to establish our self-determination and our indigenous people's rights in the country. So we started it from 2010, and since then we have been performing, and we have been perceiving this performing arts, for establishing peace and justice for indigenous communities in Bangladesh.
So just a brief piece, so you can also get excited and watch it if you want. Also, you can find it on our Facebook page. And I think that's it for today. Many thanks to everyone who have been here with us for these 12 days. And many thanks to the ones who also join us on the different panels who have enriched the different discussions, and of course for the people who is there on the streets marching and doing actions, because you are the ones who are making this Jai Jagat campaign possible. And also I just want to invite you for tomorrow, which will be our last broadcast. We will be sharing and reporting from today's actions that are still ongoing. And yeah, please come with us tomorrow to share a final thought on this campaign. And thank you very much. Gary, I don't know if there is any final message, final thought you would like to share.
Thank you very much, friends, for being with us throughout these 12 days. It has been a wonderful experience being with you, and this has been an opportunity to live non-violence together. And as we've been advocating from day one, this is the time, high time, that we start to think about transitioning to a non-violent economy. So this is just the beginning of the journey. We, as Revaji said, 5 years from now, we need to see a better future for our kids, a better and safer and healthier future. And the only way to do that is to eliminate the trigger points that trigger violence. So friends, please join us, stay updated, join our Facebook page, that is Jai Jagat 2020, and stay tuned. Thank you very much. And we'll be ending this session with a musical video. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai Jagat.
All right, we have one more song for you here. Thanks again for including us. I know my friend out there, Jill Harris, was the one that got us involved, so admiration to you, Jill, for doing the work you do. And to everybody at Academicians, congratulations, and thank you for having us.
Everybody's got a
Sam Pauly, Devin Cuddy, Jim Cuddy. See you later.